Because at the end of the day, I'm buying a share of Apple. How is that any different than buying a Bitcoin? Oh, I understand what Apple is. It has a real world product. Well, if you ask clients and investors and you ask them about the stocks that they own, or the bonds that they own, the majority of, and I'm talking not, professional investors, but the majority of individual investors, yes, they have some knowledge, but the majority of them have no knowledge, really. Who's the CEO? No idea. You know, where are they located? Forget about, all the other stuff. What's their new
And who are
product
all
that
the
they're doing?
middlemen? Like, what's the
Yeah,
DTCC? Nobody cares. No one cares
yeah,
about
yeah.
the
Oh, where
sauce.
is it custodied? What? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, but what is interesting about, if we're just going to talk about Bitcoin, so what is interesting is that at a minimum, there is no CEO, right? There is no, there. Yes, it's impacted by macro events, but there is no board to, dilute the shares, right? You have this thing. It's a really interesting thing. I was talking about. I wrote about a little bit. With all the other ETFs, right? Whether you have a stock, bond, or commodity ETF, when the flows go into the ETF, it's an opportunity for, and there are significant flows, and the price of the assets go up. It's an opportunity for the commodity manufacturers to make more increased production, for the bond issuers to issue more bonds, for the companies to issue more shares of stock, right? And the reverse for them to go in to buy or to lower, and those all have different impacts on the dynamics, the supply and demand dynamic in the marketplace. But with Bitcoin, that's not happening. So what's going to happen to a fixed supply asset? Well, the only thing that can happen, and we've been seeing it recently, and maybe now that's burned off, is there can be a supply overhang for various reasons, right? At a different point in times, people who are long-term holders or who are holders can make a determination that the price point is in an area where they want to sell it. Okay, but you and I both know, or we know, that there is a very passionate base of holders that have very long-term and very lofty ambitions, and they've ridden out one bear market, or maybe they've ridden out two bear markets, maybe they've ridden out three bear markets. So while they're willing to sell some to cover their short-term expenses, they don't care because they're not
But even
selling. So,
there'll be financial things coming out soon where you don't have to sell. Instead, you can borrow against it, right? I
well,
mean, and we're already finding these types of things. Why sell and take the tax consequence if you could instead borrow against your own holdings?